Well, welcome to today's thought for the day. You will have noticed that there wasn't a thought for the day yesterday. That's largely because I had no thoughts yesterday. I took the day off. Sorry. But we're continuing our journey into Franciscan spirituality. And today we're going to start again a little bit of a series on Franciscan approach to prayer so Franciscan praying. It's just a bit too big a topic to cover in a small little segment like this, and I don't want to bore you too much by going on for half an hour or so. So, I'm going to start with some words from, again, Brother Raymond in his excellent book, which I'm largely taking the structure for these talks from. As he's the expert. I must admit, I'm very much a novice when it comes to all these sorts of things. The way I was taught to pray, well, I really wasn't taught to pray other than to sort of give a shopping list of all the things I wanted to do or wanted God to do for me or for other people. But obviously the Franciscan way of understanding prayer, and actually the Church's way of understanding prayer, is much broader than that. So these are the words from Brother Raymond. As Franciscan spirituality is a particular way of believing and experiencing the gospel, so Franciscan praying is a distinctive application of France's charism to the life of prayer. It affects such a life at all levels, setting the creative genius of Francis within the context of biblical teaching and experience. Whatever the level of prayer, the Franciscan dimension imparts an immediacy that combines both mind and heart, avoiding intellectual dryness on the one hand, and the crude emotionalism on this other. So you get this wonderful charism of the Franciscan way of St. Francis himself, which engages both mind and body and spirit and everything full. The one thing you can say about Franciscan spirituality, it is completely immersive, and it doesn't leave any aspect of the human experience and understanding out. It's not dualistic, it's completely holistic and unitive. And one of the things that people do associate with St. Francis is his love of nature. And again, I've mentioned this before, you don't want to get overly sentimentalized about Francis and nature and preaching to the birds and the wolves and things like that. Even though he did, there was a reason for why he did those things, and more than a reason why, it came out of a certain place within him that he couldn't help. And we'll touch on that just now, because praying with nature is a specific, is a part of Franciscan spirituality and the approach to prayer. The fact is that Francis didn't have an analytical approach to nature. He didn't identify with nature so strongly because it identified the design of God or anything like that. No, Francis's attachment to nature runs a lot deeper than that. His love for the animals and for all things created came from an understanding that they too had the same Father who created them. Therefore, this is why you get those wonderful prayers and canticles that Francis wrote, particularly, Brother Sun, Sister Moon. The reason he identified a kinship with the created order, the world around us, the universe, all things, the animals, the birds, trees, everything within the created world, in a familial way, because he saw that the same life force that created them, that brought them into being, is the same life force and the same being which brings us into being. And it was that which brought the communion between Francis and nature so strongly, and is an aspect of Franciscan spirituality. It leaves nothing out. It sort of, again, it encompasses the whole. It knows that whatever, the redemptive work that Christ did on the cross was the redemptive work not just for the human race and species, but for the whole of creation. The whole of creation was redeemed on the cross. All that that was needed, and it's from that the Franciscan finds huge communion and contemplative prayer within nature itself. And I know for many of you who that go to our church, and the nature aspect is something you probably can most strongly identify with. Many of you pray whilst you walk within nature, and that is that's not obviously unique to Franciscan spirituality and prayer, but it is a key aspect of it. The identification that we are all connected within this creation. We're connected because we have the same creator. We are one within this creation. And there's an intimacy and an immediacy that happens. The Franciscan prayer within nature is characterized by a sense of wonder and awe, joy, and participating in all the aspects of nature, both joy and sorrow and ecstasy are all genuine Franciscan experiences of prayer within nature and with nature. Some of you are dog owners such as myself, and when you see the way that your dog interacts with nature and out of its own nature, you can't help but stand back in awe and wonder and just see the sheer joy and exuberance of a dog walking through the woods. So and each dog, depending on its breed, will interact differently. As a spaniel like Dunstan, nose to the ground and busily zigzagging in front of you, looking for pheasants to flush out. And when he does flush out a pheasant, oh boy, what joy is on his face, and the tail goes like 100 miles an hour, like a little propeller blade going around. And I know that others of you have different breeds, and they too engage with nature in their own particular unique way as to what they were bred for, whether it's sprinting off and then sprinting back, or whatever it might be. And if you just take a moment to be in that place as you watch nature and maybe watch your dog interact with nature, you can really be in a state of prayerful contemplation, because you are there in that moment, and that moment is all that matters. And what you're experiencing in those moments, you're experiencing the Christ. You're experiencing the Christ being expressed through your interaction with nature and with with your dog, or any other animal you may be watching, whether it be a squirrel or any of that sort of thing. If you just sit back and take notice and watch, it speaks to the Christ in all things. And that's at the heart of Franciscan prayer within nature and with nature. And it's that brings us into a deep connection. And prayer, if it has any goal at all, is to deepen our connection with God and with the created order and with both people and other creatures within this planet, and realize that we are all one in Christ. So that's the fullness of the Franciscan prayer, praying with nature. Tomorrow we'll look at the Franciscan approach to prayer with an engagement with the scriptures, so praying the scriptures. And as we continue, we'll just highlight different aspects of Franciscan prayer over the next couple of days. So I hope you will join me on this journey into this aspect of Franciscan spirituality.